Hi everyone and welcome to Infinity IAS Academy. If you're watching this video, it means one simple thing. You know what MPSC is or you have heard of it from friends and family. What we will discuss today is the basic understanding of what MPSC is. We'll look at the various exams that are conducted by MPSC. I'll give you a very brief idea about the various groups for which MPSC recruits. My name is Siddhant Menon and let's get on with this. The first thing you need to know that MPSC gets all its powers from the constitution. It's a constitutional body. It comes up from the article 315 where it very clearly states that every single state needs to have a public service commission. We live in Maharashtra, we get a Maharashtra Public Service Commission. Fair enough. So what does MPSC do is MPSC goes ahead and recruits people for civil services in three different groups. That is going to be Group A, Group B, and Group C. All right. Now, what these are? What do you also mean by gazetted officers and non-gazetted officers? You might have heard these words before. We will discuss all of that right here. So, when looking at posts that are conducted or exams that are conducted for these posts are going to be for Group A, Group B, Group C. Earlier, these used to be known as Class 1, Class 2, and Class 3. All right. Now, Group A exactly talks about that this is for recruitment for executive and managers, for executive posts and for managerial posts. Group B goes for managers and supervisors, and Group C is pretty much what support staff is all about. Now, we're looking at Group A. These are all going to be gazetted officers. What is a gazette? A gazette is nothing but an official document. Okay, an official document where the government has actually recognized certain set of posts which can go ahead and be the ones under which their hand and seal would be used to set up new projects. आता प्रत्येक गोष्ट तर गव्हर्नर तर नाही करू शकत, right? So what we will do is we will have these people who will be in place of governors, and where you will have ministers as well involved. The ministers will give proper directions to these civil servants. For example, let's say that I want to build a bridge. Okay, now the money will be given by the particular government, and the entire project will be taken care of by these civil servants. Even setting up tenders, recruiting other people, recruiting support staff as well, giving them proper instructions, all of that has to be done by an officer who will be in charge of the entire project. Now that officer will take proper decisions, and his decisions will be final for that particular project and all. Now this person has to be at the highest level of governance, and in that scenario we will have these Group A people. So an entire list would be made, and those people will be part of the Indian Gazette. That is a proper document, and the document will have enough numbers of civil servants. Now we're looking at Group B. As the hierarchy flows, you have Group A, Group B, and Group C. So top post पे रहने वाले Group A है, उसके बाद आने वाले हैं Group B. Group B, we will have two differentiations. One is a gazetted officer, and the other is a non-gazetted officer. A gazetted officer would mean कि जे गजेट मध्ये नाव आहे ते. Non-gazetted officer, जे गजेट मध्ये नाव नाही है, but still will be working as managers and supervisors. Okay, and Group C are all non-gazetted officers. All right, so this is the hierarchy that we have at this point of time. This video is just going to give you a basic understanding of what the hierarchy is, what are the different posts that you would be jumping in for, and how we are going to give that particular exam. That's all the small video is all about. Okay. The next important thing is, how does even MPSC recruit people? In what ways? There are four different ways over here. One is your competitive exam, which I suppose most of you are giving. Second is direct recruitment. The third is limited exam. And the fourth is internal promotions. As the name suggests, internal promotions is for people who are already part of the system. आपने कुछ साल बिताए हैं at a certain level, you have attained very good results, you move on to the next level. Promotions होतात. त्याच लेवलचे promotions जसं private companies मध्ये होतात, तसंही government मध्ये देखील होतात. So you have internal promotions. That is point number one. Second is limited exam. This limited exam is for people again who are part of the system. They will get promoted, not internally. That is not just because they have spent a certain time in that particular department and they get promoted, not because of that, but where they will appear for an exam and be promoted after clearing the exam. So for example, if you are a constable and you have served about 5 years in the service, full 5 years, you would be eligible depending upon other small factors, including age and other parts that would be part of the entire ad as such. You will get an opportunity to give the exam for a PSI level post. That will be your police sub inspector. So from a constable, if you have been studying for if you have been working for 5 years, you could study for a limited exam, and you can immediately move on to the next level. That will be your limited exam. So both of these parts, that is limited exam and internal promotions, are once you're part of the system. If you want to enter as an outsider, you would have two different kinds of exams. One is a direct recruitment exam, which is also known as saral seva. Now, saral seva again is of two different types. I'll be talking about that in detail in another video, but I'll give you a brief idea about that as well in this one. The other is going to be competitive exam. Competitive exam is where every graduate, depending upon which stream you are in, of course, there are various competitive exams as well. The most loved competitive exam is what we know as Rajyaseva exam, where everybody gets an opportunity. That is, every graduate from any stream gets an opportunity to go to the highest post, which is provided by the Maharashtra government, being deputy collector. So you would be able to give your exams, that is, you give this particular exam through competitive exam. Competitive exam always has three stages, where you would have prelims, mains, and your final interview. Competitive exams work this way. Direct recruitment, on the other hand, is where you would have certain departments and certain ministries who would suddenly say that I need a few more people working in my department right away. Now, how will this work is they will go out and give an ad either through MPSC or elsewhere. We will be discussing these two different small differentiation between Saral Seva as well. And once they get this particular ad from various different departments, what we would do is we would go out and take an exam. Correct? And there you would have one exam. Okay. Plus the interview. And this is a much faster process than your competitive exams. The entire time period for a competitive exam goes up to an entire 1 year, from starting from prelims and mains and interview and then finally getting your result. It takes a year or so. That does not happen with direct recruitment. So direct recruitment is where the things need to move a lot faster because we need those people on board right away. This is where MPSC sort of recruits people. So you have competitive exams, direct recruitment, limited exam, and internal promotions. What we would be discussing a lot today, or rather little more, would be where does Infinity come into play and how are we going to deal with competitive exams and the different positions available in Rajyaseva MPSC. That is what I'll give you a quick gist of. Fair enough? Now, the type of posts that MPSC does recruit for is your MPSC State Services, also known as Rajyaseva exam, which every single graduate would be eligible for. The other is engineering services. Then you have agricultural services. Now, as the name engineering services shows, it will be for engineers only. Now, not all type of engineers. There are again further differentiations and divisions in it. The same thing will apply for agricultural services. You need to have a graduate in agriculture. Then the few other limitations also apply to this. This is the one which everybody tends to target. Other exams by MPSC is forest services, judicial services. That means you need to be an LLB as well over here, apart from other restrictions which are put in by MPSC and by that particular department. These two other exams are very common, which is your combined group B and combined group C. This is what we know as your combined exam, group B. Now you remember when we were looking at our three different types of hierarchy, that is group A, group B and group C. In group B, I had said there were two divisions. One is a gazetted officer, the other is a non-gazetted officer. I do have an entire list of all the group B gazetted officers. Group B non-gazetted officers would be 3, for which you would have to give a combined group B examination. They are also known as PSI, STI, and ASO. Right? So you have a police sub-inspector, state tax inspector, and assistant section officer. These are the three non-gazetted Group B posts for which you would be giving a combined Group B exam. Now, this is again a competitive exam, and that is why you will have a prelim, and you will have a mains, and you will have an interview. Fair enough with this? So you realize when you need to give a prelims, mains, and interview, when you have a competitive level exam. The same thing will go for your state services. The same thing will go for a combined Group B. Now, you also have something called as combined Group C किंवा क group जो आपल्या आता recently एक ad आलेली होती. Here we have other posts also available. We will discuss that too. Fair enough. Now, why is the word combine used? It's a very simple, very common, simple phenomena over here. What we do is, instead of having three different exams of prelims, mains, and interview for all three of these sections, what MPSC did was, just for the sake of our own aspirants, they went ahead and had a single common prelim examination. So what happens is, once you get an ad for combined Group B or combined Group C, what you do is you fill up the form. They will have one single prelim common examination. Then based upon other restrictions and based upon the marks that you do get, then you would be eligible either for the mains of PSI, STI, ASO, either one or all of them depending upon the various restrictions. All of this we will be dealing individually in detail, and I will let you know what the various restrictions are. So this series of what is MPSC is going to be a very lengthy series. It's just the start of it. Okay. The same thing happens with C, with the C group examination. That is why it's called as combined. So you'll have a single prelims available, and then depending upon what you appear for and depending upon what you're eligible for, the tier 2 strategy or tier 2 examination, which is your mains examination, will be different for every single post. So prelim तर तुम्ही सेम देता ग्रुप बी ची किंवा ग्रुप सी ची. मेन्स जेव्हा येते तेव्हा मेन्सला पीएसआई ची मेन्स वेगळी, एसटीआई की मेन्स अलग है और एएसओ की मेन्स अलग है और हर एक का इंटरव्यू भी अलग हो जाता है. That is why you call this as combined, क्योंकि prelim same होती है. The same thing goes with group B and same thing goes with group C. Fair enough with this? Alright. To help you with your preparations, we at Infinity IAS, under the MPSC English Medium section, we are going to launch a new batch on 17th January. It's going to be an offline batch and it's going to be for 4 hours. Yes, 4 hours, because we need to make sure that we end with the entire syllabus. You do not want half-hearted coverage of any syllabus part whatsoever. So to cover it, we know for a certain fact that you will require 4 hours a day. The entire structure for the batch is discussed in another video as well. I won't be spending time on this right now because I want to explain a little more about the various posts that we have. However, you need to know this because we need to help you in your preparation. The entire batch is going to be in English. That's a blessing, no doubt. However, for this batch, we have decided that we are going to have a small scholarship test. This scholarship test is going to be on the 10th of January. What this means is, you give a small test, 30 questions, 30 minutes, 30 marks. Whatever you score, you will be put in different slabs of discount for that particular course. The top 20 would end up getting as much as 90% discount on your scholarship. That is how high we aim to give you, just so that those who are needy, those who need this particular discount, or even those who are very smart and want to give this exam, who are serious about it, they get the benefits as much as we can provide. The top 300, we will see to it that you get some form of scholarship whatsoever. Okay, so make it a point that you register. The registration link would be in the description. For more information, of course, you can call these particular numbers. 0769020441. You have the particular strip that is rolling right across me. That also has the phone number. Make it a point that you call, get more information as much as possible. See to it that you enroll. That this particular course is going to help you out a lot. Now, moving on with the different posts that we have with MPSC. When I say that you will be appearing for Rajyaseva, you need to know what you're appearing for. All right, let's make this very simple. This is the entire list of Group A gazetted officers. Take a screenshot if you want to. Let me just rub this. All right. Here is the entire list of posts that you would have. So you have deputy collector, which of course everybody knows that there is one, and this is what everybody tends to aim. The next one is the known as DYSP, Deputy Superintendent of Police. You have Assistant Commissioner of Sales Tax. You have Deputy CEO, also known as BDO, Block Development Officer. You look at these posts, you know for a certain fact you are going to have an excellent life. Superintendent of State Excise, Education Officer, Tehsildar. You also even have a Registrar of Cooperative Societies. We have an entire separate Ministry of Cooperation now. So you are going to be huge even when you're a Registrar for Cooperative Societies. These are the posts that everyone tends to aim at. You need to do the same and we will help you get there. The second section would be Group B. However, gazetted officers. As I told you, a gazetted officer is one under whom the entire process of working for a project will come under. So if you are an education officer in Group A, then the Group B, as I said, is going to be the next in hierarchy, lower in hierarchy a bit, but a post small nonetheless. You would have deputy education officer, you would have assistant regional transport officer, you have an accounting officer for Maharashtra Finance and Accounting Services, you have a section officer, you have chief officer for municipal corporation, you will have deputy superintendent of land records, you have deputy superintendent of state excise, you have a Nayab Tehsildar, you have a Tehsildar in Group A, you have a Nayab Tehsildar in Group B. I mean, it's pretty logical when you look at the entire section. You have industry officer for technical services. You have so many other things that happen in Group B for gazetted officers. Now, when you move on to Group B non-gazetted officers, here is where you would get your combined Group B examination. The earlier post, all of them were for Group A and Group B through Rajyaseva. So what happens is when you give the Rajyaseva exam and you clear it, you would get one of those posts, depending upon where you stand in the hierarchy of the particular merit list. And when you give your Group B examinations, that is your combined examinations, you could become a PSI or assistant section officer, you could become a state tax inspector. There are so many other things that can happen in your life. So you see, a Group B non-gazetted officer is also a supervisory post, no doubt. They will also manage so many things. For example, a police sub-inspector ends up managing a police station as well. And then over a course of time, you could become senior PIs and so on through internal promotions also. And you would still be eligible for the Rajyaseva exam if you, depending upon the age and other restrictions, you could still give various other exams continuing while you still become a PSI. So that is the sky is the limit when looking at such examinations. All right. The next thing I want you guys to know about is the Group C examination. Again, a combined exam where you would have prelims and you would have separate mains for each particular post. So Group C, non-gazetted posts. And this is the entire list. Okay. These people are also very, very important in the entire working of the section, from the deputy collector as down as to clerical typist, be it in English and Marathi. Now, this again depends upon your educational qualifications. So these examinations move across a wide range of spectrum. All right? The other thing I want to talk about is direct recruitment. Direct recruitment, also known as saral seva. Now, a lot of people actually tend to get confused as to whether MPSC does it or whether it's done by somebody else, and how do we know where the notifications are? Do we even know where to apply? And that becomes a very big problem. Now, direct recruitment through MPSC is going to be for Class A or Group A posts. Okay, look at this left-hand side column. You got a lecturer, an assistant professor, a principal, an HOD, deputy directors for various industries and companies, joint directors, even livestock development officer. What does this mean is that these are Group A posts taken directly by the particular ministry or department which requires these particular posts to be filled. मग ह्यासाठी आपण काय करणार आहोत, एक exam and then the interview. Now, the direct recruitment part through MPSC is done for Group A posts. आता जर का तुम्हाला असिस्टंट प्रोफेसर बनायचं आहे तर तुम्हाला एक लेवलची एज्युकेशन तरी पाहिजे. So you need to be an let's say the masters, you need to have your PhD done as well, then various age groups that would be part of it. All right, this is how various restrictions would apply. So not every graduate would be eligible for these posts. That is why this is not a competitive exam. It falls under saral seva or direct recruitment. Other things also would happen based upon the various ministries. So for example, Zarka, टॅक्स डिपार्टमेंटनी म्हणजे महसूल विभागाने ठरवलं की नाही आम्हाला एक तलाठीची एक्झाम घ्यायची आहे. मग आम्ही काय करतो की प्रत्येक जिल्ह्याला आम्ही किंवा कलेक्टर ऑफिस सांगितलं जातं that I need the requirement that you have or you need for talatis in your particular district. And then those requirements are taken together and it is done. The exam is taken by the ministry themselves. So महसूल विभाग हे तलाठीची एक्झाम घेते. मग जिल्हा परिषदकडे असं जातं and then जिल्हा परिषद recruitment किंवा हे देतं and then the exam is taken for ग्राम सेवक. So the same thing will happen for कृषी सेवक or office clerk. Even saral seva is available for X-ray machine operators in various hospitals. Peons साठी सुद्धा, and there are 30 different more posts apart from these that I have listed, which could give you better opportunities in finding a job as well, no doubt. So when looking at saral seva through MPSC, there are huge educational qualifications required because this is Group A. When you're looking at saral seva, which will be done by the ministries themselves, the education qualification in fact ranges all the way from 10 standard pass to even PhD level. So the entire examination pattern would depend upon whether you would be eligible for it or not. We will be discussing all of this in way more detail than what I'm telling you right now. Why I'm just briefly giving you an idea as to you need to know कि ये जो part है ये MPSC सीधा आपके mpsc.gov.in में जाके ये ad मिलेगी. These ads will not be there on mpsc.gov.in. Hey ads you would find even on something like employment news, or you need to keep your eyes and ears open for this. Okay, हे जे मेगा भरतीची जी ऍड आली होती मध्ये बघा की सरकार आता मेगा भरती करणार आहे, तर मेगा भरती जी करणार होती, it is going to be basically through all of this. And for this there are posts vacant, 1000 posts vacant for talati, 1000 posts vacant for gram seva. It again depends upon your education qualification, and you will have one exam. Many of these exams have turned into online mode as well. So you give one exam, you give your interview, and if you clear, you get this particular post. That is how it works even for saral seva. So saral seva मध्ये दोन वेगळे भाग आहेत, एक MPSC करतं, एक directly जे विभाग आहे किंवा जे ministry आहे that takes care of it. So you have to be very careful and check upon what you would be eligible for and then give these exams. All right. So another thing, as I said, the post for this actually depends upon the need of the department. Department ने ठरवलं की हां जरा मला गरज आहे तरच मी घेईन. सो हे दरवर्षी येतं का तर नाही असं सांगता येणार नाही, आणि दरवर्षी फिक्स्ड आकडा येतो का तेही सांगता येत नाही. So you need to keep your eyes and ears open. You need to know what is happening around you. You need to be very vigilant of these particular ads. Fair enough? So what have we done today? We have looked at what MPSC is, a basic division of Group A, Group B, Group C activities. We have also looked at the various posts that would be there for Group A as Gazette officers to Rajyaseva, Group B as Gazette officers to Rajyaseva. We have also looked at combined exam जे post आहेत ते, which would be Group B non-gazetted, and we have also seen Group C examinations, which would be for non-gazette as well. I'm looking at posts as such. आता आपण याच्या पुढे काय करणार आहोत की जे काही पोस्ट आहेत, ह्याच्या पुढची जी राज्यसेवाची जी एक्झाम आहे ती कशी कंडक्ट होते, प्रिलिम मध्ये कुठले सब्जेक्ट्स आहेत, मेन्स मध्ये किती मार्काचे सब्जेक्ट्स आहेत, इंटरव्ह्यू कसा होतो, याच्या व्यतिरिक्त कंबाईनची एक्झाम कशी होते, वेअर डज इन्फिनिटी कम इन टू प्ले, what does Infinity MPSC English Medium do for you? We will be talking in detail about all of these things very soon. All right, that is it for today. Thank you for watching.